welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome back to my spring TBR. Today I'm going to sit down and discuss with you all of the books that I'm hoping to read this spring. I'm really excited for some of these books. I chose them based off of vibes. There's specific things that I'm kind of going for in regards to my reading, and then just things that I really am excited to get to, things I've been putting off for a little while, and just books that I'm genuinely excited to read. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The first section of books I'm going to talk about is my biggest section, and that is romance. Spring and summer are like the times for romance for me. Granted, I read romance every other season, but it's just like the seasons that I feel the most romantic and the most flirty, and I just think that should be represented in the books that I read. I have 2 self-published books, and the rest of them are traditionally published romances. Recently, I have read a couple of traditionally published romance books that I have not loved, so I'm hoping to get through a couple more on my shelves and decide if I'm going to continue to buy them physically or if I'm just going to read them on ebook and audiobook, because I have been quite disappointed recently. Not to say that traditional romances are bad, I just think that I've sucked myself in so bad to a like smutty romance with lots of dark themes that I'm finding it a hard step back to take. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about them. First one that we have here is Getting Schooled. This is by Christina C. Jones. This is an author that I'm very, very excited to read from. It's very rare that I find a self-published Black author that writes romances, and I just love reading self-published books, self-published romances that are written by Black authors. Love to see it. Continue to support your Black authors. We love it. But this is one that I'm really excited to get around to. Karina actually gifted this to me, and I'm very, very excited to read it. It is about a college assistant teacher and a student, and I love books that have that type of dynamic. I love a good taboo relationship, and I believe it's kind of like a hate to love type thing. A will they, won't they, hate to love, school setting, taboo relationship. Sign me up. The next one that I'm going to talk about is actually a book that I'm already in the middle of. I started Lilac about a month and a half ago, and I just never got around to finishing it off. It's a big, chunky, standalone reverse harem that I'm very excited to read. This has to do with a guitarist and singer who is very, very, very talented in what she does, but she has not kind of been noticed for her talent, and she gets picked up by a very, very large label to become the lead singer and kind of co-bandmates to this really big band. But the bandmates do not want her. But do they really? I think they want her a little bit too much, and for all of the wrong reasons. It is a reverse harem on the road, on tour buses, which I love. I read the Rock Hard Beautiful series by I can't remember the last name, but that was also a reverse harem that had to do with a band, like a really big rock band that took place majorly on tour and on the tour buses, which I really, really loved. And I'm really loving the dynamic of this book. I'm liking the relationships that are being created, even though it is very much hate to love, will they, won't they, push and pull type of relationship, but I'm just having such a fun time. So I definitely want to continue on with this one. Then I have one YA contemporary romance that has been sitting on my shelf for a little while that I would love to get around to, and that is Now That I Found You by Christina Forrest. This is one that I've had forever. I think I got it in like a real Bookish book box that I was sent like middle of 2020, so it's been on my shelves for quite some time, but I just really want to give this one a go. This again follows celebrities. I don't know if I've actually like realized how much I really enjoy reading books about celebrities and fame. I just think it's so much fun. But you're basically following this young actress who has kind of like a family of being in the business, and her grandma kind of goes off the radar, and she goes on a journey to find her grandma, who's kind of taught her everything she needs to know about acting and the entertainment industry. And along the way, she hangs out with the guy and they fall in love. I have had this on my shelves for a little while. I definitely want to read this author's work. Again, I love supporting authors of color, so hopefully I can get around to this one ASAP. Up next, we have a book that I just recently picked up today, and that is The Dating Playbook by Farrah Rochon. I recently read The Boyfriend Project by Farrah Rochon. This is the second book in that series, and I liked it. I didn't absolutely love it, but I am really excited to read the rest of the books in the series because they follow the 2 other side characters that kind of got catfished in the first book. And this is a friends to lovers fake dating romance. Sign me up! Oh my gosh, I love it. It's also a sports romance because the male main character is a football player. I also love that Target put the sticker right over his face. They were like, no, you don't need to see him. It's not important. So I'm very excited to get around to this one, and again, supporting more Black authors. Then we have one that I've heard nothing but good things about, and that is The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. So many people have been picking this up and absolutely loving it, so I'm very excited to get around to this one. This is a dating romance between 2 male characters, one of whom is the bachelor on this Bachelor style show. However, he's never really been in a real relationship, and he's not gelling with any of the female characters that are being picked for him to Bachelor style date, and he ends up falling for one of the producers of the show. And I've heard really, really good things about this one. I'm very excited. I am excited to read more LGBTQI plus books this year, and so hopefully I will get to this one and really, really love it. Then we have the well-known and beloved The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Definitely people have been shouting from the rooftops ever since this one came out, and I'm really excited to read it. This one is about Stella, who has Asperger's, and she's really into mathematical equations, and her job is really her life, and she has figured out that dating is not really something that she's very good at, but she wants to get into a relationship. She wants to experience all that a relationship has to offer, so she ends up hiring an escort to kind of teach her everything she needs to know about relationships and sex, and it's a relationship between the two of them. I've heard this is steamy, I've heard this is fun. I'm very excited to finally get around to the series and hopefully fall in love with this author. Up next, we have Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. This is one of the only Tessa Bailey books I have on my shelves, and I don't really remember too much about what this is about. I think it's a second chance romance between high school sweethearts. I don't really know too much. I've heard really good things about her books and her writing, so I definitely want to give her a try. I'm apprehensive about this one because I don't really know if I'm going to love Tessa Bailey's writing, but since I've heard so many good things, I am willing to give it a go. Hopefully I love it. If you have read this one, please let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear some positive things about this book. Hopefully it's all positive. Then we have the last and final book in the Bromance Book Club by Lisa K. Adams. This is the 4th book in the series. I think we have one more book coming out in the wintertime that has to do with like a holiday romance, Christmas romance. But this one is the 4th book following Vlad, or as he's been coined in the book, the Russian. He is probably one of my favorite characters to see on page. He's just very, very funny. He doesn't have a lot to say. He's a man of few words, let's just say that. But I really enjoyed his character growth over the last 3 books, and seeing him get his own book is going to be very exciting. This is a marriage of convenience story, but after the marriage of convenience, it's years later, they've been married for a long while, and they've never really had a actual marriage. It's just been a convenience thing, and he really wants a solid relationship with his wife. So he enlists the help of the Bromance Book Club to get things going again. Really excited to read this one. Hopefully it's just as good as the rest. And ending off this romance section, we have 2 Colleen Hoover books. First one being Maybe Someday, and the other one being Regretting You. I love Colleen Hoover, and I'm very excited to continue to read more of her backlist books. I also would like to read Reminders of Him. I don't know why I didn't put that on this list, but if I can get around to that one too, that would be great. I do love Colleen Hoover. Every book that I've read from her, I've given a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think that these will be any exception. Hopefully I love them. I've heard great things about both, so let's hope. Now let's talk about some fantasies that I would love to get to. Some of them are chunkier than others, but we shall see. The first 3 I'm going to talk about are a nice bridge between romance and fantasy because they are fantasy romances. The first one being Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. This just screams spring vibes to me. I don't know about you, but I love it. I like the leaves, maybe more fall vibes. You know what? It's fine. Pink gives me spring vibes. That's what we're going with. I've heard really good things about this one. I actually don't know what it's about. I just heard Becca and Ashley just absolutely love this series. I believe the 4th book just recently came out, and I definitely want to read it, although they do get chunkier and chunkier as the books go on. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but this is a self-published fantasy romance series that I'm very excited to get around to. A male-male fantasy romance that I'm excited to get to is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. You all know I'm a huge TJ Klune fan, and I'm trying to read as much of his stuff before we get to interview him in March. So I'm hoping to get around to Under the Whispering Door this spring. This is a book about a man named Wallace, I believe, who is attending his own funeral, and he gets swept into the afterlife where he realizes he didn't really live his life to the fullest, and he wants to have some time to live his life. So he has 7 days in the in-between between life and death, and he ends up falling for this really cute man who owns the tea shop in the middle of the in-between. So I'm excited to get around to this one. I've heard really, really good things. This is one of Clint's favorite TJ Klune books, if not his favorite, so I'm very excited to read it. And my last, strictly fantasy romance is also female, and that is A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. I am excited to get to this one. It's been one that's been sitting on my shelf for a little while. I do have the Owlcrate special edition of this book. I believe this follows a dark academia setting with witches and a few deaths in the past that have kind of put a damper on the school experience, and this girl who is a writer that comes to write about the Dalloways, the Dalloway 5, I think, and she ends up falling in love with one of the girls at the school. Very excited to read this. Heard good things. Hopefully I love it. The next 2 are my chunky fantasies that I'm hoping to get around to this spring. The first one being The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I'm really excited to get around to this one. I've heard nothing but good things. It's definitely one that's been sitting on my list and that I'm afraid to read because I'm afraid I won't like it. But I do like a good grim, dark, hard to read fantasy book, and hard to read as in like the content, not hard to read as an understanding, but hopefully I will enjoy it. I do like a good action-based, but also school-based, morally gray type of character involvement, and I'm hoping that I will really, really love this one. I've heard nothing but good things, so hopefully this will be one that I enjoy. Then we have none other than The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I have started this book. I'm about 100 pages in, 104 pages to be exact, and I was tabbing it. I was having a great time, and then I was in a slump. I was actually reading 2 Brandon Sanderson books at the same time, put them both down for a good portion of that time. I have now picked up and read Skyward by him, but I have not gotten back to The Final Empire. I do really want to read this one. This is a book about what if the bad guy, the Dark Lord, won. And it's 1,000 years after the Dark Lord has won, and it's this group of mercenaries that are trying to overthrow the Dark Lord, and you have magic system based off of metals and the ingestment of metals. Heard really good things about this. I really enjoyed the writing style and the premise of this book when I first picked it up, so I'm hoping to get back around to it and absolutely love it. My sister actually was just talking to me about how much she loved all of pretty much Brandon Sanderson's books. The only one that she hasn't read is the last book in the Stormlight Archives books, so I'm very excited to get around to these, and hopefully I can talk with her and like gush about it. The second to the last book I have is Contemporaries, and the first one that I have here is a recent purchase, and that is Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. This is by Jane Allen. I have been trying to pick up more books by Black authors, hence this book, and I heard really good things about this one actually. I believe this was one of the group books for the Blackathon hosted by Jessie over at Bowties and Books. I didn't have a chance to really sit down and look into the readathon as much as I would have wanted to so I could fully participate, but I heard so many good things about this book, and so I wanted to pick it up. I don't really know too much about it. I believe you're dealing with a woman named Tabitha who kind of has it all. She has the job, she has a nice house, she's dating a nice man that she thinks is marriage material. However, the only thing that she doesn't have is kids. But she soon finds out that kids might not be in her future unless she does something about it. And so she kind of goes on a journey to figure out if having kids is really as important as she thinks it is, and what she's willing to give up and sacrifice to get that. And the thing that really got me is the line at the end of this synopsis that says, "But the fight is all-consuming, demanding a steep price that forces a reckoning for nearly everyone in her life. As Tabby soon learns, her grandmother's age-old adage just might still be true. Black girls must die exhausted." So I'm really excited to get around to this one. I've heard really, really good things, so hopefully I will love it. I put this in the contemporary section because technically it's a contemporary. There's no magical aspects to this, but it is a classic, and that is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I've had this book on my shelves for so long, and I absolutely love this edition. It's stunning and gorgeous, but I just have not ever had the will, want, or desire to pick up a classic recently, so I'm really hoping that putting this on this list will kind of give me the push that I need to finally read this one. I've heard nothing but good things. I have never watched an adaptation. I have never read this book, so hopefully I can finally get on the bandwagon train of everyone that loves Little Women, and hopefully when I do get around to it, I will love it, so I don't have to be the minority. Then we have a chunky contemporary, and I'm sure this has some romance to it as well, but for some reason I put it in this category, and that is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I have never read a book by this author, but I've heard nothing but good things. I really don't know too much about this. I know dog walking, I know contemporary, that's it. Then we have a book that is on my 22 books to read in 2022 that I would love to get to, and that is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I wanted to get this read in this month, but I just didn't get around to actually putting it on TBR, but I am really excited to read this one. This is the prequel to The Hate U Give, which follows Star, who goes through a really horrific experience watching her best friend get shot and killed by the police. And so you follow this journey of her experience with police brutality and the powerful movement that is created from. And this is the prequel, which follows Star's father, Mav, as he's getting out of prison and trying to turn his life around. I'm really excited to read this one. I heard it's not as good as The Hate U Give, but just as good in regards to the writing, just a very different style and feel to the book. And the very last book that we're going to talk about is my one and only thriller, and that is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. My friend Mike has been begging me to read this, like telling me that I need to pick it back up. I did pick this up ages ago, and I got 60 pages in. I wasn't absolutely blown away by the story, but I'm willing to give it another try. I've heard nothing but good things about this book and this series, so I really would like to read it. This one follows Ellingham Academy and a girl named Stevie Bell who comes to this academy to try to solve the age-old mystery of Truly Devious, who murdered several people years and years ago, and Truly Devious's murders are starting to pick back up, and it's her job to figure out if it's the same person, if it's a copycat killer, and what's going on. So, like I said, I've heard good things about this series. We'll see if I like it. Okay, That was very scary trying to pick this up. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to show you everything, but no, please don't fall. This is my spring TBR. Woo, that was scary. Sorry for you headphone users out there. That was very loud. I will try to tone that down in editing, but I'm very excited to get to hopefully all of these. Although I looked back on some of my other seasonal TBRs. I haven't been that great at actually achieving any of them, but let's hope that this is the turnaround that I need to actually read every single one of these books. I doubt that's going to happen. This is 20 books to read in the next 4 months, not on top of anything else that I have to read, so I'm going to hope to try to get to a good portion of these ones, and hopefully I will love them all. Let me know if you are a seasonal reader and what you plan on reading this season, or if any of the books that you see in today's video you've read and you want to share your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Please don't fall. Oh no! Please no! Oh my god. Somebody help me. Oh my god, no. So that is the end of this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end, leave a sun emoji. That's what I'm feeling today. A sun emoji. If you don't know what else to comment. I love you all so much. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And of course, leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.